Salutations, everypup, and welcome to chapter 25 of Sorry, Wrong Number by ShizunaRey. As always, the link to the fic will be in the description below. And with that out of the way, let's jump on into it. Chapter 25 Tony's Redemption Arc. Author's Notes. Surprise chapter! It's a short one, but it's a chapter nonetheless. The meeting room, hopefully the last one Mark would need to sit in, was filled with awkward silence as Tony Stark stared him down. After coming back inside the tower, Mark was quickly stopped by the one and only Captain America, who dragged him into a room with the billionaire and had told Mark to not let him out until he apologized. Mark heaved out a long sigh and started, I'm sure you have better things to do than sit here. I know I do. And I'm not gonna wait here for you to force yourself to apologize to me, so let's just pretend this never happened and leave. Stark held up a hand to stop his rant. Just give me a second here Spectre. He let the hand fall down uselessly at his side and seemed to wrangle himself for words. Mark raised an eyebrow and leaned back in his chair. In the reflection of the panorama window behind Stark, he could see Stephen and Jake doing the same. Pienso que he's actually about to apologize to ya, Jake said loud enough to startle Mark out of it and look the man in front of him in the eyes. I think I may have been too harsh on you. You think? Mark interrupted him. Stark started again. I'm usually not one to apologize, so you're gonna have to be a little patient with me, Mooney. Not windy anymore? Heard you didn't like that little nickname all too much. Tony awkwardly chuckled. Listen, Spectre. I'm a self-centered asshole. Everyone here knows that and knows not to take what I say to heart. Half the time, that shit I say leaves my mouth without me even knowing. I may have overstepped with you. A lot. And for that, I'm sorry. Mark blinked at him. For a heartbeat, he wasn't sure how to respond. Stephen had gotten still in the reflection, hands hovering anxiously near his own chin. Jake mouthed, "Holy shit," behind him, with the theatrically raised eyebrows of a guy witnessing a solar eclipse. Tony cleared his throat, misreading the silence. Don't get used to it. I'm not planning on making this a regular thing. Mark snorted, leaning back again. Trust me, I wouldn't survive a second one. Tony clicked his tongue, offended. Hey, I'm not that bad. You arrested me. In my flat. You joined our secret group chat. By accident! Tony waved a dismissive hand. Security flaw, not your fault. Mark stared at him. You threw me in a cell. Temporary holding suite, Tony corrected, pointing a finger. Very cozy, better than some motels. Jackals tried to kill you. I think that one's on you. Mark shrugged. Fair. Another beat of silence passed, the air even less tense now, but double the awkward. Tony shifted his weight, folding his arms. It wasn't defensive, more like he needed something to do with his hands before they betrayed how uncomfortable sincerity was for him. I don't do well with surprises, Tony admitted, looking off to the side. Especially the mysterious magic killer with 3 names types. It brings up stuff, and I took it out on you. Mark looked at him with an unreadable expression. You thought I was a threat. Tony met his eyes. I thought you were a loaded gun someone left on the kitchen table. Jake's reflection scoffed. He ain't wrong. Mark ignored him. I get it. Really. Tony exhaled. Yeah, well, still an asshole move. Even for me. For the first time since the start of this whole mess, Mark felt the urge to unclench. Just a little. He leaned forward, forearms on his knees. I'm not good with people either, he admitted, voice low. You push, I push back. Part of me panics, another part threatens homicide. It's a whole system. Tony let out a dry laugh. Functional. Barely. They felt quiet again, not hostile this time. More like 2 men standing at opposite ends of a minefield, acknowledging they weren't the only ones missing limbs. Tony rubbed the back of his neck. Look, you're dealing with a lot. More than we knew. And I was out of line with the. You know. He gestured vaguely at his own chest, then Mark said, the mental health stuff. Mark stiffened, gaze flicking to the floor. Stephen's reflection softened, sympathy written all over him. Jake rolled his eyes, but nudged Mark's mirrored shoulder supportively. Stark's voice dropped. I shouldn't have treated you like a liability. Or a bomb. Or a guy who'd kill everyone in the tower if I looked at him wrong. Mark swallowed. I wasn't going to. Yeah, Tony said quietly. I know. Now I know. Mark finally met his eyes. Tony extended a hand. Mark stared at it for a moment, then took it. It was brief, firm, awkward, but real. When they let go, Tony clapped his hands together, dramatically clearing the air. Great! We did the emotional growth thing. Never again. Mark snorted. Deal. Tony turned to leave, but paused with his hand on the door panel. And, one more thing. Mark raised a brow. If you ever actually feel like doing something stupid, Tony said without turning around, don't disappear, just knock on the damn door. Someone will answer. Mark stared at the back of his head, genuinely thrown. Yeah, okay. Tony nodded once, briskly, like sealing a contract with himself. Then he opened the door and walked out. Mark sat there for a moment longer, letting out a long breath. Stephen smiled in the window's reflection. Mark wiped an imaginary tear. Proud of you, Hefe. Mark rolled his eyes, but he couldn't help the small, tired smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Yeah, maybe this whole Avengers team-up wasn't going to be the worst thing ever. Author's notes. I think 3 to 5 more chapters and this thing is done. However will I cope? And that's a wrap on chapter 25. I think that this was a really cute chapter. I like how I like how Mark alludes to Stephen and Jake here whenever he said it's like a system, like enlisting. One part of me panics, the other threatens homicide. We know which part is panicking and which part is a homicide, right? Right? Stephen, Jake. Anyway, please go show the original author, ShizunaRey, some love, and please leave me a comment. I love reading your comments. They make me so happy. Please leave me specifically hate comments, and I'll shout you out in the next video. That being said, a shout out to a person called Samuel1651. Thank you for your comment and your hate comment as well. I appreciate it so much. I don't have to go die in a hole today. Isn't that great? Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye, pups!